Senior Ayatollah mandates self-defense against Iranian undercover police. In a historic move not seen before in the Islamic Republic of Iran's history, Grand Ayatollah Asadollah Bayat-Zanjani issued a fatwa, or religious decree, that declared self-defense against plainclothes officers of the regime as a mandatory religious duty for Muslims. Bayat-Zanjani, a senior theologian, writer, and Grand Marja of Islam, decreed his fatwa as Iran grapples with countrywide protests that erupted after the death of Mahsa Amini. This is particularly significant as Shia Islamic jurisprudence proclaims it as a sin to fail to undertake a mandatory action as declared by a marja, or source of emulation. Iran's response has increasingly become brutal and even led to its lawmakers pressuring the judiciary to sentence protesters to death. The regime's crackdown has included a wide use of police and military personnel in plainclothes, often indistinguishable from armed criminals, and they are known to use indiscriminate, violent force. The violent repression of the protests has resulted in the deaths of nearly 400 civilians since September 16th. The Islamic regime denied any involvement with these plainclothes assailants. When asked what a Muslim should do if an unknown person armed with firearms or other weapons attacks a Muslim, quote, based on the assumptions presented by a question, a proportionate defense is mandatory, Bayat-Zanjani responded.
Okay, so Bengali Hindus is misunderstanding this. He's asking self-defense of undercover police against civilians? No! This is why this is shocking, okay? So if you've not noticed, there's been a major drift between religious people in Iran over this recent protest. This is why these recent protests are, unique in the way that is dividing even the religious people against each other. So this major Shia cleric is telling the people that they have the right to go violent on police, plainclothes police, armed forces. Moral police, as they call it in Iran, right? So this religious cleric in Iran is taking the side of the people against regime forces. They're like, you do what you will, like you do what you have to do to defend yourself.
And well, it's actually more than just saying you have a right to self-defense in this circumstance. It's saying as a Muslim, it's actually a sin for you to fail to undertake this action that I am declaring as mandatory, because he has the authority as the marja to declare these kinds of things.
Right. So he's like, yeah. So in Shia Islam, so he's telling religious people who follow him, because in Shia Islam you have to have the marja, okay? That if you don't, because if you don't follow him based on this version of Shia Islam, you're sinning. So he's not telling them that it's your duty now to resist the police with violence, which is crazy. This is coming from a cleric, a high cleric. This is insane. This is we're reading this from a reputable source. So, I had to do a double take when I saw this.
Yeah, wait, Armin, tell me your reaction when I first sent this to you.
I know, but Susie, I'm is this real? Susie is where is he getting this from? And then it's Iran Wire. They are that's a pretty good source. For the first time in Islamic Republic's more than 4-decade history, a high-level Iranian Shia cleric has issued a fatwa making it mandatory for Muslims to defend themselves or other Muslims. So it's not just so now if you see the Basij or the moral police going after other people, you have to step in as well. It's not just it's your duty to defend them as well against the regime forces.
Because we've been seeing a lot of this in Iran, where people are increasingly actually interfering when the authorities, particularly plainclothes officers, try to arrest people. Crowds and mobs will come and prevent the arrest from happening and scare off the authorities many times. So this is becoming increasingly more frequent. I think what's also very significant about this is that a few weeks ago, we talked about how there was a group of seminarians from the most religious cities and holiest cities in Iran that put out a statement talking about how they declared Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, to be religiously illegitimate and they laid out all the reasons why his religious credentials aren't good enough and why he's illegitimate because of what he does and the way his government is run and who he puts into places of power and how they don't fulfill their religious duties, all this stuff. But that letter, which was scathing and a roast fest of like calling people out, it was epic, including talking about how the president
Okay, Susie, are you back?
Yes, I am back.
Okay, cool.
What I was saying was that what's significant about this move is that we actually know who said it this time. Because with the letter that came out from Qom, it just said, oh, we're a group of seminarians, blah, blah, blah. But it was completely anonymous. This is actually someone putting their name behind it and coming out in public. And it's a very senior Marja as well. And that itself is very significant.
Okay.
Because Khamenei actually isn't a Marja, right?
Well, he is now, but he's not supposed to be. Well, let's that's a different discussion. I don't want to get into that. But by the way, guys, keep telling us in the live chat where you are watching from. I'll try to highlight it as the stream goes by. Okay. Let me just show you what one of these plainclothes Basijis are now dealing with. So Basijis are plainclothes people that are supposed to uphold Islamic moral law, which mostly translates to young boys having a government license to harass women about their clothing and their hijab. That's what it translates to. Basically, they go around and tell women. And when I was in Iran, and for the past couple of decades, Iranian women have been constantly afraid of Basijis and Niru Intizami, which are they do actually have clothing of like police, but these idiots, they don't. Okay, so they constantly, women in Iran have always had to walk look over the shoulder because one of these Basijis could just jump out of the woods and like harass you. Okay, Islamically, to tell you about like not being morally Islamic, right? So now look at this video that I'm about to show you, because things have changed. Okay, it used to be women without proper hijab that used to be afraid of mullahs, right? Now women are walking around Iran without hijab in crazy numbers, like as if it's like not Iran anymore, right? And mullahs their turbans are being knocked off all the time. So now the mullahs are afraid.
It's called turban tipping.
Yeah, it's called, turban tipping has become a new active sports in Iran, like as they call it, right, in Iran, right? Like mullahs are now tying their turbans around their head because they're afraid of somebody knocking it off.
The mullahs look like they're wearing a hijab because of the way that they tie
it now
to their head.
But it's so common.
It's so funny.
But it means it's so common. Like turbans are constantly being knocked off. Like so mullahs are now watching. The women are now feeling like it's not that the law has changed. The law is still against women. That you are supposed to wear the hijab, but there's just not enough enforcement because of the protests that women are just not wearing their hijab. Like if you go to the streets in Iran, in so many places, most women just don't wear their hijab, but the mullahs are afraid. But it's become even more intense because these Basijis who used to harass women and used to make women like run away from them, look what has happened. This is a Basiji who saw a woman doing something immoral, so he did what most Basijis do. He goes to a car and removes the plate number, right? So removing your plate number is a way for the Basij to track you down eventually. Like you drive away, but he has your plate number, so now he can track you. You have to come and get your plate number back, so now they got you, right? But this woman gets out of the car and look at what happens. This is the new Iran. This is the new Iran, where the people who are running away And the woman who used to run away, look what they're doing now. Okay, look at this. This is the new kind of interaction between a Basiji and a woman. Okay.
Oh, snap. Can you hear what she's saying?
Yeah. Can you hear?
Yeah, it's just very quiet.
Okay, let me translate. Okay, so like the woman who's recording, like
She
this,
slaps him so hard in the face.
Yeah. So the woman who's recording is saying, "This man just removed our plate number." It's like she's saying, "Why?" Like the woman, "Why are you afraid? Why are you afraid? Like, don't be afraid. Why are you afraid of?" So some guy on a motorcycle is saying, "Let him go." And she's like, "Why would we let him go? He took our plate number." Like, why would we let it go? We're not gonna let him go. Like, why are you afraid? Show your face. Oh, because he was trying to hide her face, so they removed his mask so that they could record his face, and now they have his face. But look, this is a face of a man who has no idea how things got to this level, right? This is a man who went and got a Basiji card because he thought that he could use it as a way to legally harass women. He was like, he did not sign up for this.
Look at the facial expression. Like,
right?
Wondering how I got into this situation.
Yes, he did not sign up for being beaten up and identified on camera with his face, because this man is not going to be in danger. I can tell you now, there's situation in
100%.
Yeah, this man did not expect for this to be his destiny, like this is look at the shot. Like, what is this is not how this was supposed to happen. I was supposed to be harassing you. By the way, guys, things in Iran are going crazy. Like, this is like a war zone now, because people are being killed, and now it's not just the protesters. The regime armed forces are being killed. And I can't show you the videos, but there is now a trend of officials, like armed forces, or the IRGC members, being found bloody and butt naked with their dicks hanging out and running in the streets or dead. But the videos show them like being beaten, but all of them have their pants and underwear removed, and their like butts and dicks are showing. Right?
You sent me a video of this guy walking around, just blood everywhere without his pants on, just walking around looking dazed. I'm like, what the hell is happening here?
Right. So, I mean, this is worse than that. Like, this is a huge embarrassment for them. So, for a lot of these people who are supposed to be manly and honored and stuff, this is worse than death. Yeah. So this is a lot worse than death. So I think that's why they're pulling their pants down. Like, noticing that you might die is one thing, but you noticing that you might die, but also your tiny little dick showing when they take pictures of your dead body and like people spreading it around, that is something like really scary for these people, right? But like, yeah, I can't. I wanted to show you another video. I don't know if you could take it, right?
What is it?
But it's really gross. Like, the guy is being beaten and he's like, his dicks and balls are like hanging out. It's just like,
we can't show that on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna send it to you. I didn't send it to you because
you should send it to me.
Yeah, you want to see that? Okay.
Oh,
but people are again. I'm not encouraging anything here on YouTube, okay? Because it's violates YouTube standards. But a lot of Iranian people are celebrating it, and there's a lot of dead like Iranian officials, and people are mocking it and saying like, "Oh, this guy committed suicide. Oh no, look at this guy was bitten by a dog. Was bit by a dog." But
he died of congenital heart disease. All this in the middle of the street.
Like, oh no, look at him having a heart. Like, they're showing a video of somebody being beaten to death, and like, oh no, he's having a heart attack. Poor guy. And the reason why they're saying all of this is because the regime hasn't admitted to a single killing of protesters, a single one of them, even though more than 400 people have been killed by the regime, and more than 50 of them children, which I'm going to show one of them to you right after this, right? they haven't admitted to one. They have stories for every single one of them. They're like, this one was bitten by a dog. This one jumped off the building. This one had a heart attack. This one died in a car accident.
Had a brain tumor, had a history of epilepsy.
Right. So
BS.
people now that the people who are killing the government officials, they're like, oh yeah, this guy. Look at this. They killed the mullah also, by the way. They're like, oh no, poor mullah. Like he was dead in the middle of a highway. I'm like, oh no, he fell from a high tower. Like even though there's no high towers there, so it's kind of like, yeah. So Oxymoron is saying, stop sending dick pics to Susie. Okay.
Okay, you were talking about something really serious, but I was laughing so hard inside at that comment. People are like, that's sexual harassment.
Well, I mean,
Oh
these
my God.
these are the kinds that is justified. Okay.
True.
Yeah. Well, let me show some. Yeah, go on.
No, go ahead.
I wanna. If you see anybody mentioning where they are, watching from, highlight it because I was speaking.
Mhm.
I don't know. So, on a more serious note, this is going to get very serious and very sad right now. So, be prepared for that. Okay. I showed this on Secular Jihadist with Harris. I just want to make sure I show it here as well. Right. This is Kian. Okay. And Kian wanted to be a robotic engineer. Right. Look at him. His goal in life was to be a robotic engineer. So this is him in school. So Kian was shot dead by the regime. Okay, and there's a video I wanted to show that I can show here. So I'm gonna find a replacement photo because that's what people are. Wait, actually, let me show you another video first about Kian with his school projects that he's so proud of. So this is Kian again. Look at the device that he built here, and he's doing this for a school project. And he starts by saying, "In the name of the God of the rainbow," right? So it says, "In the name of the God of the rainbow." This is something. What I don't know what it's called. I built. It's for this special competition. I built it. It's for a demonstration. So now I say I want to test it here now and see if it works.
Oh, that's so cool.
So he says, as you can see now, it works. It works properly. Right? So the government shot this boy dead, and the family of Kian knew that the government will take the body of Kian, like the other protesters, and hold it as hostage for them to come and say on TV that Kian was killed by the protesters, not by the government.
Actually, they're trying to frame it as a terrorist attack by ISIS.
Yeah. No, I will clarify that later. That's not like that's what happened after, right? So before that happened, the reason why the mother didn't. So what happened was the mother didn't let anybody take the Kian's dead body. So Kian's mother kept Kian's body in her house with ice all around it as a way to make sure that nobody takes the body away. So the pictures I can show you is pictures of Kian with bullets in his body and ice all around his body in Kian's house because of the history of the regime of taking the bodies away and forcing the family to come on camera and say that it wasn't the regime forces that killed him before you get the body, right?
They'll extort families for their family members' bodies. They'll force them to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get the bodies back. There was even a story of a guy who's killed in the protests who they forced the family to turn over the car that the victim of the regime had recently bought. And they would only give them the body of the protester in exchange for his newly purchased car.
Right. So So usually, so this one, like Susanna said, they said it was ISIS, which is bizarre. But usually, they for older boys that they get killed, the regime narrative is that they were a Basiji member, and the protesters killed him. Like there was another boy that was killed, that all of his social media was anti-regime stuff, and for the protesters, and he got killed. And the regime is saying like, "Oh, he was a Basiji killed by the protesters." Like, are you kidding me? This guy was like anti-regime. Look at all his posts, right? So, which is bizarre. By the way, this is like, I want to show you this. So you saw the equipment he made, right? Look at what people.
There we go.
Yeah, look at people are now making it. This is his device going to heaven.
Oh.
Yeah. People. Wait, there was another one with audio. I can't find that one, but there was another one. Hold on. Anyways, if I could find it. Oops. Also, but it was, yeah, hold on. Let me show you. This is Kian again with planting a tree. Oh, I can't do it with music, sorry. And this is Kian going to heaven on his little device. And I can't find the picture right now, but there was another one showing the protesters. Oh, Susie, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, keep going.
No, it's okay. So this is the one that I can't. I was going to show instead of his body, because ice was around all his body, and when we saw his picture, and the rainbow is because they say because he said in the name of the god of the rainbow. And let me find another one. Oh yeah, so these are so Kian is not the only one, but Kian's death has captured a lot of people's attention, so much so that it has sparked a new wave again. Every one of these deaths, some of them hit a nerve in such a way. But I just want to remind you that the death toll as of September 17th, so this is actually pretty old, was 402.
You mean November 18th?
Oh, November 18th. So between September 17th and November 18th. Okay. So 402 protesters were killed, and 58 of them so far have been children, right? Look at the number right below it. There is 54 regime forces killed. And this is another thing. There's a lot of new things about these protests, which is unique compared to other protests. One of them is the fact that people are fighting back, and actually 54 people of regime forces have been killed as well. Around 17,000 people have been arrested so far, and not all of them have been identified. So UNICEF, which is the UN part of UN that focuses on children, hasn't been saying anything about any of this, because they also work with the Islamic Republic. And a lot of people are criticizing UNICEF about not having any statement about any of this. So a lot of people are posting this: UNICEF, not for every child. And I just want to show you, things are escalating. Just one picture to show how people are actually fighting back is people are actually building their own structure as a way to fight back against regime forces.
Yeah, that's Mahaba.
Oh, wow. How do you know the location? Jesus Christ. Amazing.
Well, because what's happening in Mahabad right now is super significant. So for those who don't know, it's really bad right now. Literally as we speak. Around the time I was going to sleep last night, all these videos were coming out, and they cut the electricity. There's extremely heavy artillery fire being heard in every video that comes out. Women wailing, sobbing. There was this report that came out today, and it says social media footage suggests that the regime deployed the IRGC ground forces to violently suppress the protests in Mahabad, West Azerbaijan province on November 19th. An Iranian Kurdish rights organization reported the Iranian officials had deployed a significant number of armed troops from the IRGC forces, Hamza 3rd Special Forces Division in Western Azerbaijan province, amidst reports of widespread unrest. Footage circulating on social media shows numerous armed vehicles within and in the vicinity of Mahabad. Other footage has audible sounds of artillery being fired. Social media users are reporting heavy gunfire, the indiscriminate use of violence, including shooting into residents' homes, and electricity cuts throughout the city. This is seemingly the first time the regime has deployed the IRGC ground forces to combat units to suppress unrest since the beginning of the protest commenced on September 16th, marking a significant escalation in the regime's protest response. IRGC ground forces personnel have reportedly been killed in previous incidents, suggesting that elements of the IRGC ground forces have been involved in protest suppression, but it is unlikely. This is likely the first time an IRGC ground force unit has been deployed with combat kit. So this is an extremely, extremely significant escalation. And this is like the same units that would have been used to start a ground invasion of Iraq. So this is what's happening against their own citizens.
Okay. I did find the video that I wanted to show with the audio, actually. So they made his audio explaining that he made a device over this video. I saw a lot of people having this device made in the protest and holding it up while they're protesting. There's so many people that people didn't imagine that will come out, join the protest, like so many celebrities that thought people didn't expect. After Kian's death, they just like, especially a lot of mothers, because they imagined him being their own little baby boy. So they just joined the protest after seeing that. They were like, okay, I don't care what happens to me anymore. This is enough. Like they felt really guilty if they didn't show up. By the way, Kian's mother, at his burial, at the burial of Kian, came out with a speech that was really aggressively anti-government and anti-Khamenei, and he said everywhere there that he saw she knows that it was the regime forces that killed her son, right? Also, she said that Kian didn't like reading the Quran, so she asked everybody not to read the Quran for his burial because Kian didn't like reading the Quran. So that was and then she said like when they were shooting, Kian couldn't hide under the seat because he was too chubby, so he wouldn't fit. Like he was trying to hide under the seat, but he wasn't fitting under the seat. He sang a song, like a childhood song, against the Khamenei. When she was there, and then she was arrested, and now under forced confession, she was like, "Oh no." I don't know what happened. Like you can see another video of her. Like she looks very stressful. I don't know what they did to her, right? But it was completely different from what she was when she was speaking at the burial. And she said, like, I didn't sing a song, which actually kind of puts the whole forced confession into question because we have videos of her singing a song against Khamenei. So, like, I think that was a smart lie of her because it was an obvious lie as a way to dismiss everything else she was saying during that forced confession, because people know, like, obviously, well, what you're talking about. We have a video of you singing that song. Yeah, but it's just so disgusting to see her give a forced confession because you see these people so strongly standing, and I don't know what the hell they do to him to come out and so nervously saying backtracking and having to take all of it back. I don't know what kind of mental torture they go through. They say a lot of people who get free is like they threaten your loved ones. That's the way they get at you. Oh, by the way,
my father got
yeah.
shot too, and he's in really severe condition, so they're very vulnerable. But Armin,
Yeah,
what do you think about the ground forces of the IRGC being deployed in Mahabad?
The thing, okay, so many of the people who have been killed have been IRGC, commanders and high, they're acting like, oh, we finally brought IRGC, okay? But if you look at the people who they have had commanding the ground forces right now, the IRGC has been involved. Like, I don't know what else they could do. Like, they act like, oh, we have so many forces in reserve, and every day, any day, we could clean this up at any moment we want. But like, what are you talking about? Like, you're telling us that you could have cleaned this up for 3 months, and you're just letting it happen? Like, I think they're bluffing. I think, like, I used to think that they have a lot more forces in reserve and they could just like clean this up whenever they want. But to me, like, if they had anything, they would have used it by now, because they don't. This is destroying them. This is like humiliating them. This makes them look bad. I mean, why? So okay, so there's this. They have more forces, okay, but they can't use them because first of all, the forces that they have is meant for like front, war with armed forces, not about maintaining, not for anti-protest forces. Do you know what I mean? It's not meant to, like for example, they have a lot more forces, but it's like helicopters and tanks. What the hell are they supposed to do with that against people, right? They can't make people go home if you just bring a tank in the goddamn street. Also, if they do that,
but they do shoot at people from helicopters.
Yeah, but like, not like that happens like once during these protests, right? I don't think they're going to be able to just bring out all their armed forces and just start gunning down people in the street, because that would be the end of them. Like, that would mean the regime forces themselves would just like give up. Like, I think they are doing everything they can. I don't think there are things they can do that they're not doing. I think they know if they do that, first of all, if every person they shoot, apparently 1,000 more people show up because of that one person that showed up that they killed, right? So imagine if they just come out with helicopters and gun down people. So they know they can't do that. Also, if they do that, a lot of the people from the regime itself, they were like, okay, that's it, I had enough. I'm not going to, what the hell? I'm not going to start shooting people. I mean, they can do that in Sistan, Baluchistan, because they see that they have convinced a lot of the regime forces that these people are just terrorists and different from the rest of Iranians, especially because they have a different ethnicity. They could maybe do that in Kurdistan or Sistan Balochistan because of using different ethnicities as a way to create us and others mentality, right? But they can't do the same thing in Tehran or in Shiraz or in Isfahan or in Mashhad. They're not going to be able to do that because, again, this is like some racist shit happening here, right? You can do this to the Kurdish or Baluchi people, or maybe to Arab people, but they can't gun down Fars people, or else or the regime, the division, the mental division that you need to create in the minds of the armed forces hasn't been built there for them to be able to just like start shooting down fellow ethnically Fars people. I think, it's racist, Yeah. Anyways, we talked a lot about this.
In general, it's just been like a really terrible week.
Yeah.
Like, because it was also, this past week was the 3rd year anniversary of the Bloody Alban massacre, which happened on November 15th through the 17th. And for those who don't know, in November of 2019, what started as a protest against the government removing petrol subsidies turned into a massive anti-government demonstration. And then as many as, at least like 1,500 people were just massacred, dead in the streets. The government cut off all the internet so word couldn't get out. And it was a silent massacre of like 1,500 people. And the world just didn't pay attention. Like, no one seemingly noticed. And so that anniversary happened this past week. and it reinvigorated a lot of the protests. But it was so stressful. Like every day, waking up, checking the phone every hour, like wondering, like, is there going to be another mass killing today? Are people being mass slaughtered in some city like right now? Like, you just don't know. And then what's happening in Mahabad right now, the videos are terrifying. And we received some news this week that I'm not allowed to talk about, but it really broke me.
Yeah, I know you really want to talk about that.
Like, I don't know, sometimes you have these moments where it's like you don't know how things can keep hurting so bad. Like, when you're, constantly exposed to really devastating things, like sometimes you go into this state of like kind of a little bit of numbness, right? And each new devastation somehow hurts a little bit less than the last one, and that itself is terrifying. And yet somehow something new comes along to reveal a depth of pain that you didn't know was there before.
I found a video of the guy that I told you the government was trying to say he was a Basiji.
Yeah, wait, and it's just like it's so hard to compartmentalize, you know? I feel like I have to kill a part of myself to keep going about my daily life and, go do normal things, go to the grocery store, continue my obligations, and everyone else has, just like their daily normal life is just continuing as usual, and like everyone I'm close to is just not okay. And there's nothing to even say, you know? There's nothing, when you see each other, there's nothing to say. Because it's. What use is it to talk when it's so bad and it's so painful? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
No, it's okay. And it's good that you're expressing yourself. I wanted to show you some other things, but can't because I can't find it. I was going to show you a video of something beautiful to make you feel better, because there's a lot of videos of beautiful people in Tehran celebrating. Oh, I think I found it. Hold on, let me see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me show you something beautiful so you get cheered up a little bit, okay? because this is how girls are now hanging in Iran. They're just handing out girls without hijab. People are walking up to them and telling them that their hair is making their city beautiful and giving them canned chocolate. Look at this. Oh, but she's handing out chocolates to girls without hijab, and the other one is too. So they're just exchanging it. They're like, "Oh, you're doing it too." Like, "Oh, you first take it." No, you first take it. Wait. Oh, you didn't have the idea? Hold on. Let me show you. Go back. Tell me if you don't have idea.
برای توی کوچه رقصیدن، برای ترسیدن به وقت بوسیدن، برای خواهرم خواهرت خواهرامون، برای تغییر مغزها که پوسیدن، برای شرمندگی، برای بی‌پولی، برای حسرت یک زندگی معمولی، برای کودک سوالگرد و آرزوهاش، برای اقتصاد دستوری، برای این هوای آلوده، برای ولیعصر و درختای فرسوده، برای پیروز و احتمال انقراضش، برای سگهای بیگناه ممنوعه، برای گریه های بیوقفه، برای تصویر تکرار این لحظه.
This is Iran. I don't even recognize it. Like, these girls just walking around with hijab, without hijab, like it's no one's business. This is unthinkable at my time. Okay, and they're going around and hugging each other, and like, let me show you a picture of what this looks like if you get one of these notes. Okay, so it's not just to be hijabi girls, but a lot of them are by hijabi girls or to be hijabi girls, right? And this one is like a chocolate, like a pink chocolate with a pink note. And the note says, so she got it, and she took a picture for Instagram to show like that she received this chocolate. And she says, "Thank you that you made the city beautiful with your hair." And it says right under it, "For the hope of freedom." So I don't know, people, it's just like, I just wanted to show you a positive side of this, because there's a lot of hope right now. I know there's a lot of sadness and misery, but people are already feeling like this is a revolution that is already going somewhere. Like, it's not like they can't believe that they can, that they can do this right now, right? But again, this is not enough. Like, it doesn't mean that they're dissatisfied with this. Not at all. They want the regime to completely topple, right? This is a boy who was just killed, and the government tried to pretend like he is a Basiji, part of the moral police. But that was bullshit. He was one of the protesters. He went there. He had videos supporting the protesters, and he was joining the protests against the regime. And he just recently was shot, so people are celebrating his life.
ممکنه هر دفعه اونجوری که میخواستی پیش نره، خاطر هم داره خوابو میگیره ازم، دوری و من دیگه.
So his name is Hamid Reza Ruhi, and they tried to steal him for their side. And this is Mehabad. I think Susanna wanted to talk about this when she comes back. But there seems to be an escalation in this city. Susanna, did you want to talk about this? But the people there were like protesting, and they were like taking in position. Look at this. Here they were singing, and they were ready for regime forces to come. But this is how they were occupying the streets. Look how far it goes. Mm-hmm. But this was right before a major crackdown, right? Like I heard, like right after this, the regime came and it was like shooting people. So, what do you know? Any much more information about what happened here?
I mean, like what I was talking about earlier. Well, for the past few weeks, what's going on in Mahabad like has been on a different level of resistance than other cities. So some of the tactics deployed in Mahabad are more organized than in other places, and there are certain cities where what's going on could be described as like a latent insurgency. And so Mahabad, there's been more tactics approaching the level of insurgency than in other cities, and so that's likely one reason why the crackdown is so much harder right now, because they're much more organized than in other places. They're like rumors of a new anti-regime Kurdish militia in Mahabad called the Guerrillas of Ishtar, but that could be just IRGC propaganda. And so analysts are saying that the regime may have decided to escalate its violent suppression partly for fear that more organized violent resistance could emerge. So, like I've said, as of last night, they just cut the electricity of the city, and you can hear just straight up artillery fire everywhere. And also there's been really heavy protests and heavy violence in what's the name of the city? Bukhan? Am I saying it right?
I don't know. These are okay, guys. These are new. These are cities that we haven't heard of when we grew up into Iran. Like these are smaller cities that people are like we protested and started in a lot of these cities. Right? A lot of Iranians were like, "What? What is this city?" Because rising up is not just happening in major cities that everybody knew. This is another new thing that is unique about this. Like even tiny little cities that for the first time we're discovering that exist are like rising up. So I actually don't know the name of the city, but look at these regime forces running away. Look at like the people are every time they run away, people record that and celebrate it because it shows that people are like people always celebrate when the regime forces are forced to run away. But look at it, it's turning into a war zone.
Yeah, no, the video coming out of Bukhan looks like a freaking war zone. It's crazy.
There's certain cities that people are calling it captured, like a captured city. Like it's completely in the hands of the people. So, I don't know. Like this is like, look at, oh my God. Oh, this is Mahabad again. Look at
That's
them
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Look, they're bringing in the forces. I'm scared of scrolling down because it might get to something that we can't show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's also something else very significant that happened was during the anniversary of Bloody Aban on this November 15th through the 17th. We saw mass protests across the country, but then also mass strikes. So the shopkeepers were striking, and also the steel workers and the oil workers were striking as well, which is very significant because they play such a central role in the economy and have such a giant market share. And also historically, it's very significant because the strike of oil workers was essential in toppling the Shah back during preceding the Islamic Revolution of 1979. But did you find what you were looking for?
No. But I can hear Babak though.
Okay.
It's okay. Anyways, we should move on to the other news, I think. What do you think? You want to tell Babak? All right. Let me actually show, while she goes and tells Babak, let me show you a picture of Kurdish girls. Look at this, rising up. Look at this beautiful picture. These are some girls, like, look at this image is so beautiful, right? Because they're wearing, this is their protesters and these two girls up there like cheering the crowd, but this is a Kurdish outfit. So but they're wearing their coat. Like usually men, I think, wear this outfit.
Yeah, it's a
I'm not sure.
traditionally male outfit.
Male outfit, yeah, but it's like very Kurdish. So I mean, they look good. I mean, they look good in the Kurdish outfit. I never thought, but a lot of Iranians consider this to be were used to feel like this is the backward thing. Like, yeah, people had racist views against people who wear clothes like this. But now, because of the revolution, Iranian people feel closer than ever. Yeah. Yeah. They cross barriers, they cross ethnicities. You can now get the sexiest blasphemous art ever known to mankind for free. Too sexy to show most of it here on YouTube. We draw Muhammad, Hindu goddesses, sexy hijabi art, Jesus, Mother Mary, Japanese god, Greek gods, and much, much more. Click on the link below where it says get our free blasphemous art.